All right. Well, we have people watching, tuning in, doing all sorts of things around the country. And we have a nice little bi-coastal episode for you today. So it's Saturday. Welcome, everyone, to what I'm going to call Behind the Dialogue today, rather than Behind the Couch.
That's fun.
We have a little crossover for you folks. Our dear Dr. Scott is back in his homeland of Alabama. So he's enjoying family and has a birthday party to go to today. It's Dr. Scott's birthday. So we're letting him have the day off.
Happy birthday, Dr. Scott.
Happy birthday. My fellow Gemini, our birthdays are about 9-10-ish days apart.
That's so cool.
I know. So we're like, we are the Gemini. We're the twins. We finish each other's sentences. So it makes sense. Totally.
I love it. And disclaimer, I am filling in for Dr. Scott and have no letters after my name. I will not be as pithy or funny or smart, but I'm happy to be here. And I miss Scott. Yeah, and thanks for asking me to be with you.
Of course. I told Scott, hey, we're just going to scrap it this weekend. And he was like, no, why don't you have someone join you? And I said, well, I know who I can ask and he'll probably be up for it.
Yeah.
I know this girl that doesn't get vocals anymore. So
yeah, I know.
You know, maybe she wants to revisit it, but we're so happy to have Rebekah Sebastian with us today, live from New York, coming to us. She is the wonderful host of Dialogue, a true crime conversation podcast. You probably have known her for years also from Yellow Tape True Crime, her live and virtual adaptations of the trivia show from the last year. I think I should take time right now to just make an announcement that I'm retiring from trivia.
Oh, because you can't handle like swooping every time? Is it getting to be too much for you, Shirley?
I think CrimeCon kind of solidified it, where I was like, where do I have to go from here?
Wow. There's nowhere to go. Yeah, it could be a swift downfall and just end on a high note. You've had like 3 or 4 successive wins. You're in like the Hall of Fame at this point. So go enjoy.
Yeah, I was quite scared that CrimeCon, like some fan from the audience was going to totally just wipe the floor with me and the rest of us podcasters. So I was like, okay, this is going to be it. And I'm just going to like have to throw in the towel. But I thought, you know what? Yeah, Abby says, Peyton Manning that shit. That's right. I'm going out on top. I want some sort of like jersey made that Rebekah like hangs in her studio or office or something. And then that's it. The end of it. No more trivia. Yeah. So I'll help you find people from now on.
Yeah, and it'll look really gracious and benevolent too. You'll be like, I just want other people to have a chance at succeeding.
Awful. So terrible. I think I'm just like really fast on a buzzer, and then I give myself an extra second to think of it. That's my strategy.
It's a good strategy, and I think you trust your instincts, and also you are often right, so that helps.
Yeah, I do go with my instincts, even if it's a long shot. But hey. All right.
So far.
It has worked. And hopefully we're going to get some trivia in at the end of this. If you guys are up for it, what I can do, I'm actually going to leave the spots open. People feel free to join in on the conversation. And maybe I texted Dr. Scott and I hope he can maybe jump in. And then if we do trivia at the end, it'd be awesome if folks want to grab a spot.
Hop in. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do that. So we are talking about the JonBenet Ramsey case today, something that is near and dear to me. I mean, this is my holy grail of a case. I remember you asking at the live show that we did, like, what is your case? And Scott and I have never been able to really put this into episode. It kind of intimidates me to do so. And this feels like a fun enough arena to be able to chat, especially with new information out. But also I have to say, I've been hesitant to give my 2 cents about what I really think and how that's evolved over time, just because it doesn't seem to be the popular opinion. I don't know why I let that bother me, but
Well, that's interesting because I feel the same way, but we're on opposite ends of the story. So
Really?
Well, I think I'm moving in a different direction. I'll get there, but I think this is a polarizing case.
Sure.
And so I think maybe that's the hesitation too. And it's a gruesome case. I mean, it's a tragic, sad,
it is,
but it's also iconic and kind of just transcends the story. It's like becomes something else. So it's a tough one.
It is. It really, it's all of that. And I don't know how much you were kind of into this case when like it first happened. For me, it was a little bit afterwards because this happened the year that I graduated from high school. So I know we're right around in the same age.
Yep.
And it wasn't until probably about 4 years later that I was really sort of venturing into like the online sleuthing world and getting on the forums and getting my work done at work and then jumping on the forums when I was a police cadet to like see what was new. And I know I was just sort of talking to these other people from around the country with the theories. And here I went into my guest room and pulled all my JonBenet Ramsey books off the shelf.
I remember seeing these when I stayed in that room at your house. I was like, he is hardcore.
Oh, yeah. This was the first one that probably I read in like 20 or maybe like 1998, 1999.
Wow.
But anyway, there's a ton out there and they're still coming out. And I decided to do something else, but I was actually thinking about starting a book on it this last year. But I hope I don't have to because I hope some resolve happens.
That would be kind of amazing. I was a big fan of you doing that book. But yeah, if we're getting closer to the truth and what really happened, obviously we would prefer solving the case if that happens sooner.
Absolutely.
Unless you can do that too with your book.
Well, that wasn't the angle I was going. I wanted it to be just, there is so much to this case and you're going to give us a little rundown in a moment. But I really just wanted it to almost be like a factual reference guide.
Yeah, like the definitive guide.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Because there's so much to read about. Jason, I read all these books without Audible. Yeah, it's kind of before I had Audible as a thing in my life. These have been around a long time. So, and a couple of them are just chapters. Like one's John Douglas's book, one's Henry Lee's book, and they both have covered the case. So,
right.
But the other ones are like crazy full-on books. But what about you? I mean, was this something that was intriguing to you then and there?
Yeah, I would say I probably came to it after the fact too. And not because crime wasn't on my consciousness, but I think I was very consumed with O.J. Simpson's trial.
Sure.
And the Menendez brothers stories, which were also in that like mid to late 90s. That's when the trials were happening. So I came to this one later as well. And to be really honest with you, and I think this is very reflective of both of our styles of work and our podcasts, but I'm always interested in the JonBenet story from like a meta level. Like she has transcended true crime and that she's like, her face is an icon. People get it tattooed on their arms and wear t-shirts, which is weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I'm very interested in why that is. And like, the O.J. Simpson case too. I just think there's stories that kind of go beyond true crime because they have different meanings. They've kind of like gone into their own category. So I'm always coming at it from that perspective. And the only way I've covered this case has been through trivia with like tidbits, or I had a childhood best friend of JonBenet on my podcast. So I just talked to her from like a family and friends perspective of living through that tragedy. So you definitely have done more research formally, but I have thoughts.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's get into it. Why don't you I think the one time I've mentioned this, I'm like, if you're from Mars and you've never heard of the JonBenet Ramsey case, let me tell you about it. But let's get a rundown and then we can get into theories and hear what the new stuff is.
Yeah, so I tried not to get too granular in this. So I'm just going to go through kind of like the major case highlights. And who knows, maybe there's people who were born like during or after this who kind of know it as a reference point and don't actually know the story. So stop me if you've heard this one before. Actually, don't. Let me get through it. And then we're going to continue the conversation. And I know that there's more. So thank you. I know there's a lot more details. But essentially, this story begins and ends in Boulder, Colorado. It's December 26th, 1996. JonBenet is a 6-year-old little girl. She lives in a 7,000 square foot beautiful Tudor home in Boulder with her parents and her older brother. Parents are John and Patsy. Big brother Burke is 3 years older. And so it's the day after Christmas. Patsy wakes up early, like 5:30. They're going visiting family later that day. And I guess she's an early riser. So she gets up to make herself coffee, and she finds a handwritten ransom note on the kitchen staircase. So it's not the house's main staircase. It's kind of like a back staircase, which makes me think of The Staircase, actually. The Michael Peterson story. It's like that kind of staircase.
Iconic staircase.
Exactly. I mean, staircases are trouble. Live in a ranch.
Ooh, that could be a trivia category for you. Which staircase?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, noted. So she picks this note up. It's lengthy. It's handwritten. And it says that we have your daughter, JonBenet, do not involve the police. This is essentially what it says. And that they're demanding money, $118,000 to be exact. And at all costs, like, do not involve the police. So she screams. She gets her husband, John. They look in JonBenet's bedroom. She is not there. They check for Burke. Burke is there. And they call the police immediately, despite the instructions not to. That was at 5:52 a.m. Police are there within 3 minutes. Important to note, Boulder's a quiet, affluent suburb. It's pretty idyllic, and the police have not dealt with many murders there. I'm sure there have been some historically, but this is not a police department that routinely gets these kinds of calls. Now, at this point, they're responding to a kidnapping,
right?
But we'll get there. So they're there within 3 minutes. John notes to them that the amount they're asking for is the exact bonus amount he had received. It's actually the year prior, is what I read, not that Christmas, but the one prior. He's wealthy. Patsy was a beauty pageant queen in a previous life. I think she's mostly home with the children, kind of a Southern socialite. But the dad, John, had a successful business that he sold, and he actually was worth many millions of dollars. So interesting that they asked for this specific amount. The note said that they were a group of individuals that represented a small foreign faction, which I think was one of the titles of your books, Shiloh. Yes. Fun to know also, when I do trivia in New York, one of the teams that wins all the time, Shiloh, you should go head to head with them. Their team name was Small Foreign Faction.
I love that.
They were pretty amazing.
So clever.
Okay, so they call the police. The police come. Initially, they don't see any signs of forced entry, and they only section off with yellow tape JonBenet's bedroom. So the rest of the house is entirely open. The family is going all over the place. The family has called other relatives and friends to come over during this, highly traumatic time. And so people are roaming around and touching everything. The police do not collect formal statements from the family members, and they're also kind of including them in the conversation of what they're looking at and what they're looking for and what they're finding. So it's kind of a disaster of an initial investigation, and I think that's, of everything there is to debate, I think that's pretty well agreed upon, that they were out of their depth and weren't really following protocol.
Yeah, aside from, just quickly, aside from it being a small town, Christmas, you don't have everybody on duty. There's sort of like, you have to make phone calls and round people up. Kidnappings, like stranger kidnappings, are so rare that, law enforcement, we get trained with this like FBI sort of guideline book that every cop has, like a little booklet version that they keep in their bag in the trunk. And it's not like this is something that, is drilled into you in the academy, or, that a lot of time is spent on. It's like, here, if you ever need this, here's this FBI book that tells you everything you're supposed to do. In the rare case that it's going to happen. Now, 7 years into my career, would I have been able to tell you where the hell my little FBI book was if I had gotten this call? No. Yikes. I mean, there might be one at the station that like someone could grab, but there's no experience even in decent sized cities with this.
Right. So I'm imagining, as you're saying that, like, if they were lucky enough to find it in the glove box, they're like skimming it on the way over, and they're
right.
And it was like a 2-minute drive, apparently, because they were there within minutes. So yeah, they are not mentally like prepped coming in with the right information, it sounds like. And you're kind of verifying that. So several hours pass, the police are still there. And then the police ask John, the father, to do one more top to bottom sweep of the house. So John brings a male friend, and together they go to the basement first. And I guess the police said, see if anything looks amiss or suspicious. So John and his friend go down to the basement, and that's where they find JonBenet on the floor. And it is clear she is no longer alive. And John picks up his daughter, carries her upstairs, and puts her on the floor in the living room next to the Christmas tree. Now, much has been said about this. And I think as a parent, who can fault a parent in that state and that shock of discovering their child to not A, touch them, B, hold them, and then bring them to where everybody is. I don't think the first instinct is, let me preserve the crime scene. It should have been the police's.
Sure.
They, a lot of things should have happened previous. So I don't fault him for this action. So he brings her upstairs. The autopsy a week later or so would reveal a skull fracture and asphyxiation, the official cause being asphyxia by strangulation associated with craniocerebral trauma. Her mouth was covered in duct tape. Trigger warning. This is, really awful. She was a little girl. Her wrists and neck were wrapped with a white cord. Her torso was wrapped in a white blanket. And there was not conclusive evidence that there was sexual assault, though much has been said about that later. And Shiloh, you might get into that. I know there were fibers, and some might say there is evidence of that, but the initial autopsy at least said inconclusive. So we can get into more of that later. January of 1997, so actually it was New Year's Day, the family gives their first public interview. Now, it's only been less than a week since this happened, but this got, as you could imagine, national media attention. This is not a poor, marginalized community where, unfortunately, things go wrong a lot. This was like a high-profile, affluent, little, beautiful, white pageant girl, and photos of her pageant contest were leaked to the press. Like, the family did
nothing else is going on in the news.
And it's a
Christmas is kind of dead.
Think
time
Peterson's,
for news.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this is why Lacey Peterson's story became so huge. It filled the news cycle. Exactly. So they go on to CNN. Something that was, and they didn't look well. I mean, why would they? So they got very criticized for that interview. And one of the interesting things that I thought Patsy said, and I wrote it down in my notes, is, America has just been so hurt deeply with this is a transcript, the tragic things that have happened, the young woman who drove her children into the water, and we don't know what happened with O.J. Simpson. I mean, America is suffering because they have lost faith in the American family. I think that was just like probably a reflection of her scrambled brain at that point. But interesting to bring OJ in it just because it's another iconic case around the same time.
Sure.
And possibly insinuating that like everybody thought it was him too, but maybe it was like not. I don't know. I'm interpreting.
Right.
So it's not until April 1997 that the police have the very first formal interview with the parents. Now, their DNA was collected. They complied with everything. They also did several handwriting analyses to compare against the notes. So that all happened initially, but the first formal sit-down interview with law enforcement wasn't till April. And I just listened to a podcast with the older son. So it's kind of a half-brother to JonBenet.
Yeah, John Andrew.
John Ramsey. Yeah, John's son, John Andrew, from a previous relationship, was actually so excited for the interview because he thought, okay, is this when like the FBI is going to swoop in and solve this? And he was met with two officers whose business cards were, one was in auto theft and the other was in like drug and vice or something unrelated. And he just thought, we're never going to find this guy.
Yeah, so like they literally don't even have a homicide
They don't
detective.
have, and apparently they turned down help and offers of help from Denver and other jurisdictions.
Yeah. There's my department that I worked for. We were so small. Like we didn't really have homicides. We had maybe one every few years. But what we did is we contracted with the sheriff's department here in Los Angeles. So many agencies do that are small enough to where it's too serious. I'm sorry. Like you can't just hand it over to your sex crimes detective or your auto theft detective.
No, and I wonder if that's changed since then. I'd love to know if there is some like contracted partnership,
I hope so.
Because that's another issue, unrelated, but in terms of police reform that I get a little riled up about is like the humility to ask for help and to say like, we don't know everything and could we please bring in some partners?
Same.
So yeah, let's look up and see if they've moved in that direction. But Boulder police say the parents are under a cloud of suspicion, and that was a quote to the public. So meanwhile, they are just getting like killed in the media, and the story and the narrative, because they don't have anything else conclusive, is that the parents likely did it. And statistically, the parents often do it. That is a very, I'm sure you can speak more to this, statistically a more likely scenario than the intruder.
Absolutely.
So while the police kept their eye on the family, there were many suspects. I think there were upwards of 150 just based on tips and leads that they were getting, some of which went nowhere, some of which, led to more investigating. The most notable ones were neighbor Bill McReynolds, who played Santa Claus at the party. The Ramseys had a huge Christmas party every year, and that party had taken place just 2 nights prior. So he would have been in the home engaging with all the children, lots of access, and lots of stories came out about him and his time with JonBenet. I can't see all the comments because my notes are up, but I see he did it from Abby. There's lots of thought about him.
Yep.
Then there was Gary Howard Oliva, a registered sex offender. And you can probably speak more about him. And then I know this guy, John Mark Carr, who falsely confessed. They can't even tie him. They don't even think he was in the country. I think he was in Thailand or something. Unfortunately, in 2006, Patsy Ramsey passes away of ovarian cancer, and she passed away before they officially cleared the family. So she died under that cloud of suspicion and the agony of not knowing who killed her daughter. This is if you believe, she didn't, or she didn't know who did. In 2008, the district attorney sent a letter formally apologizing to the Ramseys, saying that they are cleared of any involvement, and they publicly apologized for placing the family under that suspicion. And I'm sure many things happened in those years. And then the next highlight was 2016. I have a feeling a lot of your audience probably watched this very, I think it was like outlandish documentary with CBS. Very controversial documentary by CBS, which insinuates, or more than insinuates, that Burke, the brother, likely struck her and the family covered it up. And it was this internal family story. And just an interesting note that my guest, who was friends with that family, whose family is still friends with the father, was invited to be, they wanted her to be on it, and she refused because she didn't trust that she would be able to speak freely, and she felt like it was going to get manipulated into a certain narrative, and I commend her for that. But yeah, that's sort of, and then I know there's been recent DNA developments and some exciting new theories. So there's basically the intruder theory and the family theory, and it's, like we said, very polarized. So that's the run.
Indeed. Thank you.
Sure.
JonBenet Ramsey in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew it?
Hard task. Yes. So let's talk about the current stuff and why this is even like on our radar right now again. So this December will be 25 years since she was murdered. So it's unbelievable to think 25 years. My gosh.
That's big.
Yeah. So May of this year, 2021, there's this huge announcement. And essentially, we haven't heard much, really haven't. There's a TV show done by Discovery Plus earlier this year, as well as a podcast that came out called The Victim's Shoes, who, let me back up. So this Discovery Plus documentary, hang on, I have the name here somewhere. Nope, that's the podcast. I'll find it. I'll get to it. Lou Smith was hired by the DA's investigator's office to investigate this initially. So he was a homicide detective. He was brought out of retirement by the DA's office. They often have their own investigators when they're pursuing prosecutions in a case. And he is the one that's totally known for having a strong passion behind the intruder theory. So he died in 2010. His family, like basically on his deathbed, he was still working on this case. He had a list of 8 suspects that he had narrowed it down to. And his family vowed to sort of take it on to continue investigating. His daughters and his granddaughters do a podcast called The Victim's Shoes, because he was always about putting himself in the victim's shoes. So they actually just go through very methodically evidence from his notes and his investigation. And then there's another podcast called The Killing of JonBenet, the Final Suspects, might have been the one you were referring to.
Yeah.
That is very much, I don't know if formally in production with the family, but there's a lot of John Ramsey and John Andrew Ramsey interviews. But essentially the family of Lou Smit has sort of partnered with some investigators who are carrying on the work. So what has happened recently is that the co-founder of this group, which is called JonBenet Investigations, who've been working with the Smit family, reported that they have a suspect who's been identified by DNA. So they have these 8 people on the list, and they have been going out and trying to collect DNA. They say that they have a match to the DNA, one of the DNA samples found on JonBenet's body or on her clothing. So DNA was found under her fingernails. Foreign DNA was found in her underwear, and foreign DNA was found on her long john leggings that she was wearing. So they said that they traveled to Colorado to obtain a cigarette butt. So we know it's a cigarette butt. We know they traveled to Colorado to get the match. And that this person of interest is linked to a Ramsey neighbor. So that's all the details that we have. Obviously, they're not putting out more information, they said, as to not to scare him off. I think this is enough information to scare him off.
Oh, yeah. I think every man in the Boulder neighborhood's like, you know what? I'm going to Florida. I'm retiring.
Yeah. Right. I smoke Camel cigarettes. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the name hasn't been released. Obviously, enough information has been released where this person, it sounds like they still live in Boulder. After I go through some of the theories and possible suspects that have looked good, I mean, I guess they could have found an old cigarette for somebody that's no longer there or something like that. But who knows? But anyway, this information has been passed on to the Genesee County Sheriff's Department in Flint, Michigan. I don't know if that investigator is based out of there or if that's where the DNA was, where the lab work was done. I'm not sure what the tie-in is there, but the plan is that that's going to get passed on to the FBI and to Boulder Police Department.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that.
I just wanted to add, because people are talking about Burke, and I wanted to add that he sued CBS for that documentary for defamation because they really dragged him and it wasn't cool. If he in fact didn't do it. So, and he won, and it was an undisclosed amount. They settled out of court. So I just want to say that I think that was irresponsible of the production. Go on.
Yeah. No, that's okay. So that's what we have. That's what we're all, I think, very hopeful about, that this actually leads somewhere. But let's talk about theories. Yeah. And this can be our area where we get to share our thoughts. Folks, please share your thoughts as well. So let's start with the family, that it was some sort of crime that happened at the hands of one of the family members. The most common theme or storyline that people like to go with is that it was accidental and that it was then covered up and staged to look like this sexual assault and this intruder. But let's talk about why that is. You already mentioned that statistically, and I love my statistics and I love to start there, that's for sure, that who is most likely to do this? What is the research and other situations like this tell us? So statistically, yes, we're looking towards the most close people to the victim. Another big thing that they talk about is that to perpetrate this crime, to take her out of her bedroom, to bring her downstairs, to sexually assault her and then murder her, and then to write a couple of versions of a very, very long ransom note, that the person had to have time on their side and the comfortability of being in this home without, someone else waking up or being found out. or thinking, did they hear something and they're going to come, sort of investigate that. So I think that's been pretty big as to why people think, well, who would be comfortable in the home? The people that are supposed to be there. The ransom.
They verified the paper belonged to the home. So
yes.
And am I right in thinking that what I've read and heard is that they assume the perpetrator, whoever wrote the note at least, wrote it before probably the crime was committed for that very reason you're going to? Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't. I think that's what's been assumed, but I also think it's sort of it depends which theory you're going to go with. So if you're going with the family that it was an accident and they're covering it up, then okay, let's make it look like it was supposed to be a ransom note to maybe buy some time. So when the cops get here, they don't find her body right away. And then let's write this note to make it look like this thing happened. If you go with an intruder theory, okay, was this supposed to be an actual kidnapping that went wrong? And they sat down and wrote the note first. I don't know.
Okay. And if it was supposed to be an actual kidnapping, and do you think, if you have the intruder theory, if I'm jumping ahead, let me know.
It's all right.
How could it have gone wrong? What could have happened? Why wouldn't they have grabbed her and gone? They get no money in this scenario. They didn't want to kill. It's so hard to understand.
Let me get to that because I do have
I can be patient.
Some physical evidence that I think supports that.
Okay, cool.
So the two leading theories is, what have we heard? The narrative that Patsy got so upset with her that she wet her bed yet again, that she flips out and, kills her daughter. The other one is that something happens with Burke and he kills her. And the idea is the family can't bear to lose two children, one maybe being put away or what have you, that this is what they come up with. So either they're protecting Burke or they're protecting Patsy, and this is what they decide to do. The ransom letter was very unusual. I mean, I think people know that. We don't have to comb through all of that stuff. It was, but from what I understand, there have been other long ransom letters before. The fact that it was a total anomaly is not true. And so take that for what you will. Again, so rare. It's even hard to look at statistics when you're talking about a crime that is so rare that are the statistics even significant?
Right.
And then there's a lot of talk about how the parents had acted, quote unquote, acted afterwards. Everyone knows how Scott and I really don't like to try and, in hindsight, judge people for how they're acting in a time of trauma. But there's a lot that goes with that, the fact that they lawyered up right away, or that, Patsy seemed drugged up all the time, or going on these media shows. I don't know. If you have means to have access to attorneys, I think any one of us know enough now that we would be lawyering up for things lesser than this. They're just maybe a little bit more savvy in that world than we were.
I think one of their close friends was a lawyer. One of those initial people they pulled in, and he was like, may I interject? Do not talk and let me handle this. I think, and if you have that person in your life, you might be inclined to trust them. And I think we would commend most people nowadays to be not talking, no searches, and I'm getting a lawyer. So that's what I teach my kids to say.
There you go. See, and I know Michelle would tell one of us to lawyer up. We would.
6 amendments, 4, 5, 6. So easy to remember.
There you go. So that's been the narrative that we've been fed for a very long time. I think it fits into kind of our morbid curiosity with this whole case. We also like to play this us versus them game whenever we sort of dive into understanding people and crime, and the fact that they're rich, the fact that they're sort of these elitists. Maybe they also were these weird, were they involved in some pedophile ring or something else and it went wrong? It just has gotten almost satanic panic crazy at times with how far the theories have gone. So then what are we left with? The opposing theory is intruder theory. I kind of break that down into intruder, meaning somebody that was known to the family. or total stranger. So we're not going to parse that apart too much. And you've talked about like the Santa Claus guy who I think Emily said in the chat is just a weird dude. Yes, his presentation is very bizarre. And there were some like exchange between he and JonBenet about him coming to visit, which I think could be totally weird, but also, hey, Santa Claus is coming. Well, yeah, no kidding. That sort of talk when he's playing Santa at the party. So that's what I mean when like somebody known to them and they knew a lot of people. Their circle was huge.
Yes.
So what do we have, I would say, sort of pointing towards an intruder theory? The one that stands out to me the most that I feel like has just not, we've kind of taken a blind eye to it to feed this family theory is the foreign DNA. So obviously that's hot topic right now, but we've known that for a very long time. And what other crime have we been like, oh yeah, there's foreign DNA, but let's not look at that. What?
Right.
It's scientific. It's something that we put a lot of weight in nowadays, whether we're talking wrongful convictions, or just, what is there besides the circumstantial?
So were they just kind of brushing it to the side and they were like minimizing its importance because they didn't have a match to it? So it was just like why? It's true that we kind of we overlooked that so much.
Well, and, there's been things that I've heard is like, well, if that was a newer pair of underwear, it could have been from the factory. But do we ever hear that in other cases?
Right.
I mean, of course. I think that's something that we have to consider with every crime. But I don't know. I just don't see it getting swept under the carpet so much. So I mentioned under her fingernails as if she had fought somebody off, which is very sad because it gives you indication of, what was happening right before her death in her underwear, as well as on the long johns. And the long johns, the actual report that was conducted says that it includes genetic material from at least 3 people. JonBenet, the person whose DNA profile originally was located in her underwear. So those 2 are matching. Are you tracking with me?
Yep.
So during testing, and that's what they did in the late 1990s. And then at least one other additional yet identified person or person. So there's a 3rd profile there that is, it could be a mix, or it's just a 3rd person, an unidentified person. So there has been this idea of multiple perpetrators. There were multiple shoe prints in the basement too, including the high-tech boot print was one of them. I think that this often gets forgotten too, is the unidentified palm print on the wall of the inside of that little basement room. Again, have workers been down here? Sure. I mean, that could be explainable. The DNA to me speaks louder than this palm print. There's the flashlight that didn't belong to anybody that was left on the kitchen counter, the big mag flashlight, which...
Isn't that what they accuse Burke of maybe using?
Yeah.
To strike her?
Yeah, I think that definitely is in the lead for the potential weapon. But I certainly know if there's a giant mag flashlight in my house and where that belongs. I mean, that just, I don't know how any more obvious that could have been. And in the kitchen, just right out in the open.
Yeah.
This is kind of going back to what you were asking before. So if you guys remember that there was in the basement, the room she was in, but the adjoining room, there was a window that led up to like a grate that led to the ground level outside the grounds of the home. So the window was broken. There was a scuff mark on the wall underneath it. And then there was a suitcase underneath it.
I'm so glad you're bringing up the suitcase. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. No. That's okay. That's what I'm getting to. I'm getting to the good stuff that you were talking about. So the suitcase is underneath it. Lots of people are like, okay, that looks just like somebody needed it to step up and get back out. And then you kind of think, okay, the scuff mark makes sense too, right? If you're trying to get up there. So there were blankets inside the suitcase. there were fibers that matched the blankets on her nightgown or the clothes that she was wearing. So the idea here is that she may have at some point been put in that suitcase and tried to get her out that way. Whether she was alive or whether this was post-mortem, I don't know. But to me, it says somebody tried to get out of that house with her, likely through the window, and possibly she was just too heavy. They couldn't manage it. It's not a huge window. A man can get through it. Lou Smith demonstrated that could be done. But the fact that those fibers match, I think that, and or, at some point she was sort of wrapped in it, but why then unwrap her if it was just covering her in it?
Okay, 2 questions. I see some comments about asking the glass. So we think it was broken from inside the basement out or outside in?
I don't remember which way the evidence shows if it did at all, because there was also, John said he had to get in through there one time when he locked himself out of the house. Yeah. So, so I don't know if it was previously broken, if he had to break the glass before. But he even admitted that, that was something he had to do on occasion.
And then my next question was, I've read this tidbit in some places and not in others. So I'm wondering if it's verifiable. And if you know, in that same suitcase, I've read that blanket did have semen on it. Is that and it might
the
not
blanket
be
inside the suitcase? I don't know,
because I think you would know if there was. I think this might have been something I read that wasn't super reputable.
Right.
That would be big information.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So aside from that, during the investigation, sort of the aftermath of this happening, the Ramseys hire FBI profiler John Douglas, who was retired by then, to investigate this. And, he's the best at what he does. At this point in my mind, back then, I was still thinking, oh, it's the family. I can't believe that they paid him to do this. He took the money and he told their story. That was my outlook. Wow. Now I have evolved from that. I'll use a politician's word. I have evolved from that. He definitely supports the intruder theory. And I kind of go back to thinking, if I had killed my child and covered it up, would I hire the best profiler to come investigate it? I know money talks, and I don't have any reason to think that John Douglas is just a whore for whoever's paying for him to investigate something, that it's going to go that way. I highly doubt it. He has quite the reputation to protect.
Yeah, that would tarnish his work.
Totally. Yeah. But I mean, there are a lot of
things have happened. Yeah,
there are a lot of high profile people in that CBS documentary.
Yes. Yes.
People that I know, people that I respect. But I'm just, that sort of thinking is like, wait a minute, like they're going to hire him to take a close look at this and he's the best at what he does? I don't know. Hey, Dr. Jill, we can see you and we can hear something unzipping.
Pantry.
Hi, Jill. Hi. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Jill.
Where am I?
I'm just making sure you are doing this on purpose to be here.
No, I did not.
Well, hello. It's so great to see your face.
What a happy surprise.
Hi. Scott's going to be sorry he missed you.
That's so funny.
I made an appearance finally.
I know.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, good. Are you packing? Because I heard a zipper, like a suitcase or...
Computer.
Are we watching a crime in action?
It's a crime.
Oh my gosh.
And now I'm caught. I've outed myself.
I know.
All right, I'm going to go away.
You guys. Okay.
I'm not going to do the real thing.
Bye.
Get out of it.
There should be a little X at the top. You might have to hover over it, like the right-hand corner of your picture.
Or you might have to commit to the rest of the hour.
I'm just going to, I'll come back in later.
Sounds good. There we go. Jill is a friend of ours and a colleague. She's wonderful and hilarious. That's funny because Scott's always like, Dr. Jill, jump on. She never does.
That's so funny. This time she didn't mean to.
Right, exactly. So here's the other kicker, that with really kind of reflecting on if a parent is covering this up, and you're a mom, I'm a mom, again, without, I know a lot of times we're like, well, you just can't get into the head of these killers because we don't think the way that they do. Past behavior is always the best predictor of future behavior, right? There's nothing that I see in the background that I know of these two, and I know I don't know everything, that makes me say, ugh, potential for violence here.
Okay.
If it was a cover up by the family, as a mother of, young children, if one of them accidentally killed the other, or if you killed your own child in some sort of impulsive rage, and you and your husband come up with this plan to stage it as this cinematic kidnapping, maybe for the purpose of, we got to keep the rest of the family together, we'll hold this secret forever. Okay. Could you go as far as sexually assaulting your own daughter with a paintbrush to make it look real?
No.
I mean, that to me is like, haul me away to prison for the rest of my life.
No,
I don't know why that scenario just keeps running through my head, and that question of that seems way too far to take this.
The only scenario I could see it. Well, no, I could never see the enacting that to support a story, but I could see if they found out somebody close to the family did that, covering the whole shebang up. If it was, say, like older son of the dad, which I know came up, but I think he's been cleared.
Yeah.
But if that was discovered, like, I could see them not wanting to destroy the family reputation further or whatever.
Right.
But no, I don't see them enacting.
I mean, I think that that would be a really, quite an antisocial, if not psychopathic trait, to be able to do something like that. This horrible thing happens, even if it was an accident from another family member, but to further desecrate the dead body in this very specific sexual way is just that's just too much for me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, I mean, I think that's where I kind of lie, is just that piece. And Scott and I talked about in our episode on wrongfully accused parents. Yeah, that's how it was. Not wrongfully convicted. I think that's the only time that I ever made mention of, like, if the Ramseys did not do this, what kind of hell have we put them through for 25 years?
I was thinking about that a lot today, and how this poor woman, if she really, knows nothing, died under that grief and that suspicion and the horror and the trauma. It's terrible. But before we go any further, so can you confirm that the sexual abuse or assault would have happened post-mortem? Because if it was before the murder, then that does change it. Like, if it was somebody they knew that did the abuse and then she was killed, and they don't want that to come out either. That's different than if it happened post-mortem, right? So do we know that?
I can't. I don't have that piece on the tip of my tongue. So, but yeah, I think that could change for sure. But just kind of going with that lead theory of that it was staged and sort of covered up, and I don't think it was. And I hope it's just so brutal and so horrific that I hope at some point, she was knocked unconscious before sort of the final things were done to her. But yeah, the stranger intruder theories, I think, is really interesting to look at, because you do have sort of this, obviously there's a pedophilia flair to it, if this is not a stage cover up. There's kind of the beauty pageant ties that people always like to talk about. John Mark Carr was absolutely ruled out, even though he was a former school teacher who was on the run as a child pornography offender, and he was in Thailand. They quickly ruled him out when they extradited him back to the U.S. I always have really liked Michael Heldegoth as a suspect. I think he was one that I learned about really early on, and I can't even remember what it was that I saw him on or saw him talked about. But he's the guy that worked at like a local junkyard. And right before Christmas, he was talking about, oh, like I'm going to make a bunch of money. Me and a buddy are doing this thing. It's going to make us a bunch of money. And then his girlfriend was talking about how he was acting very strangely after Christmas. He ended up dying by suicide. Well, the suicide's very mysterious, but he ended up dying by suicide right after the district attorney held this big press conference, which was the verbiage that he gave at that press conference was very deliberate and had been worked on by the FBI's behavioral analysis unit. So he's talking about like, we are going to find you. You're going to be the last one on the list. Like this sort of thing, like very talking to the perpetrator through the television cameras.
I don't remember
so this guy dies by a strange sort of suspicious suicide. The way he was shot was a little odd. But he possessed a taser and he possessed a pair of high-tech boots. I'm sure a lot of people in Boulder had high-tech boots.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the taser up because that is one thing I remember hearing today that I'd forgotten about. Like, taser's not super common household self-protection item, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Right? Dr. Scott is in the house, by the way.
What?
He's in the room.
Well, jump on and say hello, Dr. Scott.
Come on, birthday boy.
Tell us your theory.
Don't be shy.
Maybe you've had a beer or two at this birthday party and you can really let loose and tell us what you think.
Yes. Shiloh, if you had to like come down really hard on this, would you say intruder known to the family or intruder stranger?
Oh, you're going to make me parse it out even more?
Yeah. I just your gut, even just like your gut on that.
Known to the family, although it might be indirect.
Okay.
Might be indirect.
Okay.
I don't know if it was someone in one of those tight circles to them. Someone on the peripheral. But there's another guy, Glenn Meyer, who he is also dead. He died back in 2005, I think. But he was living in the basement of one of the Ramsey's neighbors. JonBenet had these neighbors and they were kind of elderly, but they would babysit her every once in a while. He was living in their basement for a while. And I get, it's hard to believe, like if you can't pinpoint the evidence, hence the reason I wanted to like write a book and document this.
Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
One of my best friends from high school, Lisa.
Hi,
oh
Lisa.
my gosh. Hello.
Have you solved the crime?
Almost. We have like
we figured it out. We're gonna announce it formally after.
Rebekah, thank you so much for sitting in. I can't thank you for. I'm not worthy of you as a replacement on the show. So thank you.
Crazy. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Anytime. Mwah.
Aw, have the best time. Bye.
Hi, Lisa.
Is that a Hawaiian shirt he's wearing? I don't know if I've ever seen him wear a Hawaiian shirt.
In the South, he is like going for it.
He is all in.
I love
it. So this guy, Glenn Meyer, that lived across the street during that time, had like a photograph from the Navy Avenger aircraft or something in his basement that had the lettering SBTC on it.
Oh,
right. I know, which was how the ransom letter was signed off.
That is a big mystery of that letter.
Oh my gosh.
And I know there's like, you can go on Reddit.
Wild.
And see what people think that means.
Isn't there like a cult tie-in theory? Like there's some dude that's kind of culty that...
I've heard of a biblical reference. I don't know if I heard a cult one, but it could be a biblical.
I think there's a cult one.
Oh, I've got to.
We will have to research that, and then I'll come on. I'll do a bonus episode for you. We'll talk about that.
Yes, done and done.
But he after she died, he kind of had this little strange shrine to her, according to his wife, and his wife was like, "Yeah, I believe my husband could have killed her." So.
But then that would negate what's going on right now, right? Because they wouldn't be going after the DNA of a dead man, or would they?
Well, to find out, heck yeah. But
yeah, so it could be.
Does he have old cigarettes laying in the basement over there?
I don't know. He's got a lot of other creepy stuff. Sounds like he hasn't been cleaned in a while.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean,
anyway,
the interesting thing is this does attract this kind of case because of the victim attracted so many pedophiles and weird dudes who wanted to connect themselves to the crime and they weren't.
Totally.
Because she was so, appealing to their like deviant whatever desires.
Absolutely.
So that just also makes it just so, awful.
Yeah, I know. It's like it was like moths to a flame, really.
Yes.
With them holding her up and, I don't know. It's yucky to think about.
Another sad thing in thinking about the family as not being part of the crime is that John Ramsey had a daughter die tragically by car accident when she was 22, just a couple years before JonBenet died. And so you just think like, God, how much can a family take?
He loses his wife to cancer,
2 daughters.
Another thing, real quickly, we can hang on for a little bit. I wanted to bring up something else. We talk about police interviews a lot and what is an indicator of deception or not. I have gone back and looked at the one interview that Patsy Ramsey does with the 2 investigators when she's by herself. And this is where they kind of propose to her the accident theory. Like, they're trying to like feed her something. And I don't mean feed in a malicious way, but like, let's see how she sort of reacts to this. Mm-hmm. And for me, all I have heard when I've heard this video referenced is like the cops thought she was lying. They thought she was lying. But you can tell she's exhausted. Yeah. But she is very direct. And from what I have researched about her, known about her, I mean, she's not backing down from anything normally. She's a very strong-willed woman. She's, feisty. She that's just her. And to me, this looks like a mom that is like so sure in what she's saying. So he sort of says like, well, so what if there's an accident and like, we can understand that and you sort of don't know what to do afterwards. And she's like, nope, going down the wrong path, buddy. Like, bring it. And she's like full on eye contact. And then he goes, well, what if I told you right now that we have trace evidence that links you to the death of JonBenet? And she says, totally impossible. Go do a retest. Like she is solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. It doesn't shake her. Interesting.
No. And he's like, no, I'm talking scientific evidence. And she says, I don't care how flippant scientific it is. Go back to the damn drawing board and do it again. And I'm just like, yes, like that is a parent who is fucking pissed that you're wasting time on them.
Yeah. Someone else, Emily is saying she never saw that. And she has more respect for her. Like, I wish we'd been shown that because we got to hear the 911 call, which is sketchy AF because you're completely panicked. God forbid any of us are judged making a 911 call. And then that first interview where I'm sure she was on some heavy medication.
Oh, right.
And was barely coherent because also who among us, I probably would be too, highly medicated. So
for sure.
I'm so glad that she had that clarity of thought and like definitive speech because that's important. A lot has been done around that 911 call too.
Oh my gosh. And it's just how much have we been fed by theory and experts weighing in. Like I said, that CBS documentary, you got Laura Richards, you got Jim Clemente, you have Henry Lee, who in his book, I was actually very grateful to read his take on it because he's such a just scientific going by the evidence. Sorry.
Yeah.
But he says essentially in this, he's like, this case will never be solved because the evidence was too jacked up by the cops. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, okay, that's neutral. Like he's taking his expertise and he's saying that I don't think he was as like pushy in this CBS show to say like, yeah, this is what it was. But I don't know. We've been told a lot of different stuff and like the 911 call.
Yeah, and that you can hear Burke in the background. All these audio experts have dialed it up and jacked it up to hear it more. But that CBS show really lost me with like the smashing of the watermelon. Do you remember this?
Oh, I do. Like,
unnecessary.
Did we need to do that?
Unnecessary. That is that gets me in terms of like telling a true crime story. I think that's like really shitty. Yeah.
Should we change the tone a little bit and see how much we know about this case? If someone wants to jump in and grab a spot, please do. This is going to be
Let me
fun.
find my questions. I just have a few. We'll just do a couple.
That's cool.
Or
Okay.
like
That's a good way to wrap up.
We call this Ring Around the Ramsey.
Abby said, shit, let me park.
Pull over, Abby. Get on up here.
Pull over. Put your hazard lights on. It's a it's
How
an
do you want to
emergency.
do it? Do you want me to wait for a couple people to get on or just see who pops in or who wants to comment?
If someone's going to pop in, that would be great. Please do it.
So some of these might have come up like in things we talked about. Some might not have. So it's,
we can talk about real quickly is that article I sent you yesterday. Is anybody watching Cruel Summer?
Oh my gosh, that was so interesting. I am watching that.
Abby.
Hi, Abby.
Yeah.
Look, I got one of these little stand things. I don't have the whole
Oh, you're fancy. I like it. So Cruel Summer. Can you give us like a rundown of what it is, Rebekah?
Ooh,
is it like a
you're not
young
watching?
adult?
It's definitely YA, and I'm definitely watching. It takes place over 3 summers, so it kind of goes back and forth, or maybe 2. It goes back and forth. It's mid-90s because the 90s are in again. So the fashion feels very right now, but it's actually like from my youth. So it takes place, there's a girl who's kidnapped, like the popular blonde, pretty white girl, Southern. That alone is kind of already like a JonBenet like Easter egg. But she's high school. And then basically this other girl, like the not cool girl, the like nerd, gets cast into suspicion when it comes to light that she saw her captured in the house with this principal, this teacher, and never said anything. And she allowed her to stay captive because she basically assumed her identity and became the new it girl, and she took that girl's boyfriend. But then it kind of flips it around, and I won't do too many spoilers, but it's basically going back and forth between when the crime happened and then after. And it's like, who do we believe? Which girl? And it all happened this one summer.
Sounds kind of fun to watch, a little campy, but
it is campy and fun. It's losing me a little. It was better in the beginning, but I'm going to see it through. Don't worry.
I won't.
Yeah.
But supposedly there's a bunch of like true crime Easter eggs from real stories in it. So
which went over my head, but then I read the Pop Sugar article. I'm like, oh, I see them. I could see them.
All right, Abby, turn your mic on.
Okay, Abby.
I'm here.
Okay, so I'll ask a question, and then Abby, if you know it, you can answer. And then you could ask the audience for help, I guess.
Okay, perfect.
So if you were here tonight, you'll know this one. True or false? Prior to JonBenet's death, John Ramsey's daughter from a previous relationship died tragically at age 22.
True.
It is true. She died by car accident in 92, so just 4 years prior.
Melinda? Was her name Melinda?
No, Melinda's alive. It was Elizabeth.
It was, okay.
Yeah, I think Melinda is alive.
Yes.
JonBenet's kidnappers ask for a very specific amount of money, Abby, in the ransom note. How much money?
Oh my God. I just know it was you were saying it was the bonus from the year before.
Yes.
Like 156.
Come on, girl. You got it.
That's close.
156?
2,000? It's 152 or something like that.
That's close.
Tori got it.
In the audience, did someone get it there?
Yeah, Tori got it.
It's 118,000, but that was good. You were in the right vicinity.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Does anybody else want to pop in with Abby? Feel free if you're commenting and you want to get in. Okay, this is a good one. We've talked about the fact that the ransom note was long. How long was the ransom note? This is multiple choice. Was it 1.5 pages long, 2.5 pages long, or 3.5 pages long?
It was 2.5 pages long?
Correct. There were 3 papers on the stairs, and 2 were completely full, and then 1 was halfway.
I just know it was more than 1 because 1 would have been like okay, and then there's 2 is a little bit much.
Yeah,
1's reasonable.
3 and a half. I mean, ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
No.
Who's writing an essay in the middle of a freaking kidnapping or whatever?
Yeah.
Exactly. What fruit plays a role in JonBenet's murder investigation?
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
In Jeopardy.
Just bring in Scott's. This is when Scott needs to jump on with his Hawaiian shirt and a drink.
I know.
Okay, what is the title? This is the last question. Abby, you're winning. Abby, what is the title of the 2017 Netflix documentary that depicts JonBenet's murder and its lasting impact?
Oh God, it was just I don't remember. I just know it said
That was a
JonBenet
weird
because I
one.
watched it.
It was so
I feel
weird.
like it was really cool though. Like I like the different perspectives because like it really puts into perspective really even any case that you can think of, especially that we just do not know the resolution of all the possibilities. And like really we did not know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like,
So do you know the name?
I don't.
No. Okay.
Oh,
Does anybody
who killed JonBenet, right? Or something like that, right?
No, this was a Netflix one. We might be talking about a different one. This one took kind of a different angle. Does anybody? I can't see the comments.
It's the one where they hire a bunch of different actors.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay, so we are talking about the same one. Erin got it. It's casting JonBenet because they were doing like finding all the little JonBenets, and then it was so trippy, right?
It was like even just the name because like the title of the documentary is like, ooh, that makes me feel a certain way.
Had all these different like people that were, some were parents, some weren't parents, that were like doing these roles that were like, I don't know what I would have done, or I would have acted like this. Oh, I could see like that. Like, like I said, it could be anything.
Yeah, it was definitely a unique like twist on what we've already seen. Well, that was my trivia game. Thanks, Abby, for playing.
Great job, Abs. Nice.
Way to show up. Way to show up and kill it.
I mean, is it a Rebekah appearance without trivia?
Always got to do a little trivia. Got to do a little trivia. Abby, if you can give Shiloh your address, I'll send you some stickers.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Thank you.
I'll probably see you next year in Vegas anyways.
Oh, yay.
I think I have Abby's address. I think she's no, I don't know if she's a Patreon member or not, but we'll get it from her. We chat all the time. Wow. Well, this was a lot. We covered a lot in just over an hour. But
one last question.
Yeah, please. Oh, yes.
Do you think we'll find out this year about the DNA update? Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
they're on it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I am more than happy to be patient for the people who are doing the work to do it and do it properly and check. And
you kind of get one shot at this to make the big announcement. You don't want to
exactly because how many times can you sort of cry wolf or put someone on the radar and then be like, just kidding, there's not enough for that. Yeah, it's time. I mean, 25 years, I would love to see it this year.
Yeah, that would be kind of profound if it happened this year, like before that mile marker in December.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy, John Ramsey's still alive and that he would be able to see that. So,
oh my gosh, seriously. What if they find out it's like someone who's done other murders?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, if it just opened up this whole other can, I don't know. But we will see.
Okay.
So you've been like team family versus intruder for the longest time, or what?
For so long. I just thought the most simple explanation is often the right one, and who else had the means, motive, and opportunity? The motive is unclear, but if she was obsessed with perfection, and then that would extend to not wanting her other child to be looked at as a murderer, it kind of fit for me. But I think it's evolved for me, and I've matured and learned some things, and obviously this new information with the DNA really suggests it's outside of the family but local, which I can buy. I feel like this was someone who was close to that circle to know. I mean, the things in that note about you're not the only big cat or fat cat or some weird things, there is some knowledge of who he was, and so envy or something like that. So yeah, I think I can move past it being the family for sure. Right.
It will just be, I mean, if it is truly somebody that is still living there, I mean, to me, that's just wow.
That's shocking.
You've really thought you've flown under the radar for all this time. And hopefully it's like a Golden State Killer thing where they're knocking on his door one day.
Yeah. And who knows what else they'll uncover. And I will say that the girl that I interviewed and another producer who worked on a Ramsey story, one of the, not casting JonBenet and not the CBS one, a different show, he got very close to the family. Both of them just emphatically feel it is not the family, just on their gut level, not investigators, just they just don't see it. So there's that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rebekah, for joining.
Always a pleasure.
Good to see you again, even though we were just together last week. CrimeCon was a blast. It was an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, all right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. We appreciate it. And we'll see you at the next Get Vocal. Take care. Bye.
Bye.